Good morning. Welcome to our seventh lecture. Today we're going to be talking about animation, which is basically the culmination of everything that we've done before, and we're going to do this by understanding two things: event listeners and TweenJS library. For this, and for all other coding work that we're going to do, I cannot stress enough how important it is to learn from tutorials and learn how to refactor and copy some of the code to use for your purposes. So let's see now how can we interact with one of the objects that we've created before. For example, this is a tutorial about mouse interaction, which shows different ways of how any object would interact with a mouse. So one of the events, which is most obvious, is the click event. And this object, which is a circle, when you click it, it should have something. It should give you something. So this is how you specify, as this is the object, and on, which is the listener that listens to this particular action, which is a click. When it happens, you run this function, and we'll see how to do it. So here, when you click it, it tells you its event type click. Let's see how can we implement this into our code. We'll copy this and go to our code and use it here, but let's use it for the dragger that we've created last time, which is a container containing the circle and the label in it. So dragger on click, and we'll alert this somehow. Notice that this function it has this input that's called event or EVT, and when you click on the object, it alerts the type of the event, which is gonna be a click event, and it gives the target of the event, which is the object itself, and then the x value of the point that we clicked. Let's see how it works now. Let's go to our code again, and this is the dragger. Let's click on it, and it works. It gives you that this is a click type, and this is the shape that we've clicked, and this is the x point that we just clicked. Good. Let's play with it a little further. Here, this function can be other things. So let's just specify a function and call it click function click, and let's also give it this same event thing and specify what happens. We'll specify a variable called target, which is the target of this event, which is evt.target, and we can play a little bit with its x value. So target.x is equal to, or let's just add to it 50. So this function is basically, when you click on the object, it will look into the target of the click, and it will add 50 to its x value. So instead of this function, we'll just give it a function that is click. When you click it, you just run the function that's click. That's good. Let's try it now. Oh, you see what happened? It moved just the label. So let's try it here, and it moved here. This is basically because we're using this thing that's called event target, and it would work for anything that is just below the click. But for a container, we'll use something else. It's called current target. Let's see how it works now. We click it and it moves the whole container. It moves the whole container. So this works. Let's try something else. Let's go back to our dragger function. Let's go back to the dragger tutorial, and here it will drag things around. So let's see how can we implement that. It's very simple. You will just specify something that is another event listener that's called press move, and whenever you press the mouse or the touch on your mobile and move it around, it will just respond to it by changing the X and Y of the current target and move it around. So let's see how it works here. We will remove this event listener for now and add the one that is press move. So when you press move, when you press and try to drag things, drag the object, the dragger here, it will change the X of the current target to the event, to the click or the where the mouse or the cursor is. So this is the stage X, the point at the stage which is currently pressed, and the Y of the object will be the new point where the stage is pressed, and then we update it. So let's see. Now it tells me to drag me. I will drag it, and I can drag it. How cool is that? Let's now look into the TweenJS library. It has extensive features, and I will be showing one of the examples here, which I got from the download part, and I'll provide links to it. And it shows how you can animate certain something and certain text and other things. So let's go to view page source and see what happens. This is the main command that we're gonna use. create.js.tween.get, and our object, you can specify some loops, like it keeps going on and on and on or not, and you can specify some wait time if you want, and then you can specify different properties that can be animated or changed as you're tweening it. So you can increase the scale X or decrease it, or you can change the X value of it or the alpha or other things. So let's take this whole thing to our code and put it here. And let's also use it for the dragger. Let's see how it works now. You see now it changed its scale and then it goes back. Let's play with other things. Now it's waiting 1000 milliseconds and it moves to a scale of 0.2 for the X and Y. So let's also change the X and Y. Notice that you can chain as many animations as you want. You can you can wait and then do an animation, then do another animation, and then wait, do whatever thing you want. So let's just make it for the Y here and for the X here. It's 500 and 500. You see there's a problem here. The problem is that we did not specify a time. So let's specify something here, 1000 milliseconds, so that you can see how the animation works over time. So it moves to this 500. Let's make it even closer so that we can see it clearly. So at a value of 200 for the X and for the Y. You see, now you move it from its position and scale it and then go back. We can specify the alpha dot al2 alpha 0.1 over 1000 milliseconds. Let's see how it works now. You change the alpha and then scales back, and then it shows how each step of these animations work, and you can combine them together. For example, you can make it change scale X and scale Y, and the X and the Y at the same time. So now it changes the X and Y and changes a scale X and Y, and maybe even, if you want, you can change the alpha at the same time. And let's remove these and see what will happen now. Everything happens at the same time. It changes the X and Y, and it changes the alpha, and it changes the scale all at the same time, and then it loops back. What about if we don't want to loop it, make it keep looping continuously? Nothing, we'll just remove this part here so that it will do it only once. And it just stops like this. What about if we want to see what happens if the animation stops, or when the animation stops? We'll add another line here that's called call and specify a function that will be run once the animation is completed. So we'll have it function for example alert animation complete. Let's see if it works now. Exactly. So this part that we've added tells us when the animation is finished. Just alert this message that animation is complete. You can always chain animations together. For example, you animate this object, and then once the animation completes, you can animate another object. Or you can just remove the object. So for this, let's just go here and say something that is stage dot remove child this. So basically, when the animation is completed, I will just remove the object. Let's see if it works. It does. We did the animation, and when the animation finished, we just remove the object. So this is pretty much the basics that is needed for any kind of animation. Any object can be animated. Any property of the object, more or less, can be animated. So we'll put all of this together with the other things that we have learned about the many objects that you can draw with Easel.js library on the stage, and we'll combine it all into something big. As we're following the other text tutorials that are designed to show the progress of the game, you will be able to appreciate each of these points that we have learned about Easel.js and TweenJS and other things. I will be adding supplementary material as we're going on, but this is mainly what is needed to make a game, to draw stuff on the screen and to be able to animate it and have the logic and the functions and the structure of the code that allows you to do so. So thank you so much for following this, and let's keep going. Thank you.